I know Bears fans don't feel good right now, but we should. We should feel good right now. I feel good. I don't feel bad. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel bad at all. Obviously, welcome to In Case You Missed It. I am Nakia Skinner, and I'm super excited to be talking to you today because I'm in the best mood ever, and I need you guys to be in a good mood. I need you guys to get on this train. Get on this train of being in a good mood. Today is Friday. It's Bears Friday, the episode that I have been waiting my whole entire life to record. As a Bears fan, pretty much born and raised, I love the Bears. Everything about the Bears is me. Loyal to a fault, even when they lose. When they win, it just feels like it's the best thing ever in life. I love the Bears. I do want to go back to school because I want to, definitely study sports more in depth. And who knows? You could be listening to somebody who works for the Bears in the future. I mean, they need some youth there on the sidelines and in the office. So who knows? You could be. Yeah, I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, let's just get into it, guys. Again, if you do listen to me, my little 3 listeners, thank you guys so much for all your support. But just make sure you share this podcast with every single person, especially Bears fans, Chicago Bulls fans, Chicago sports fans. And when you listen to this podcast, please follow all my social media. In case you missed it, it's on TikTok. What's the one that I'm always plugging? I'm plugging something. I'm always plugging. Not Soundwave. Look, fan base. Twitter, Facebook, you name it. So please follow In Case You Missed It on all those social media platforms. Please be interactive. I would love to interact with people to talk about topics. I still am getting together a very special guest to me on my podcast. I just have to get another mic. Bear with me, guys. I am a fairly new podcaster, so gotta learn a lot of ropes on the way, but still excited to bring that to you guys because it's just a discussion that like I said, I would rather have the GOAT discussion with someone who has seen a lot more than me, especially sports wise, and I just trust his opinion. He's not the only person I trust the opinion for, but I definitely trust his opinion. So without any delay, let's talk about my Bears. And yes, my Bears, because this episode is dedicated to them. We're not talking about anything else other than the Chicago Bears. So obviously last year was terrible. I don't know if anybody thought we were going to make the playoffs. I had hope. And then all that hope was gone. So there were like a lot of bright spots last year as far as like finally they were kind of using the tight ends the way, we have like 50 of them on the roster. So I'm just like, oh my God, finally some type of tight end usage. Justin Fields was definitely the biggest bright spot to me. I really, really like this kid. Not kid, but I really, really like this man. Obviously, you all know my love for Joe Burrow. My last couple episodes, anytime I talk about football, I gush over Joe Burrow. So, Justin Fields gives me that same vibe of toughness and of confidence. They both have this unwavering confidence that I really enjoy watching. Example, the Steelers game. He threw a really bad pick at a really bad time in the Steelers game. I will look it up to see exactly when it was, but he has threw a pick, and I remember I was watching the game and I'm like, oh man, Justin must feel, he probably feels like terrible, right? But this man never put his head down. He never once had this look of, oh man, I messed up. It was just really amazing to watch this very young player be such a great leader on a team full of a lot of a lot of veteran players on the team and people who were natural leaders. He really, really did a great job that game. And hold on. I don't understand. Every time I do this podcast, I have to sneeze. I don't know what's in the air, but he did a really great job to me when I watched that game. I really enjoyed it. We lost that game. Obviously, the Steelers game last year. I feel like the Bears overall played really, really hard. You can sense they really wanted to get this game. I mean, it was Monday night. It was, the lights are super bright. Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, bright. The lights are kind of bright, but Sunday night, Monday night, the lights are huge. I mean, everybody's watching. Everybody knows about Sunday Night Football. Everybody knows about Monday Night Football. Everybody kind of watches Thursday. I love Thursday. Any football I can watch, I watch. But, I know those 2 nights for me, I just feel are super important for a young quarterback like Justin to gain confidence, to feel like this is it, this is his moment. And for me, it was the Steelers game. For me, that was the game that made me, I hate to say it, but made me feel like, oh, this is not Mitch Trubisky. No shade, no hate, but just made me feel like, okay, this is definitely not a Mitch Trubisky moment. I don't remember a Mitch Trubisky game that made me feel the way I felt when I was watching Justin Fields, despite a loss. I think for me, Justin Fields is it. And this is it. If you want to look at his numbers for last year, they weren't great. They were mediocre. But between all the rookie quarterbacks and him, he had a pretty decent year when you compare his stats. Just if you want to be, like an analytics person, he actually had a pretty decent year compared to a lot of the rookie quarterbacks. You guys know I always have notes. But I don't have notes for that because, let's be honest, I was like, do I really want to? Do I really want to? But just in case, I think I do. I think I do have some notes and how well he did as far as his numbers were. So last year, he had a 73.2 passer rating. That's what he ended the year with. He had 159 completions. His percentage for completions was 58.9. He had 1,870 yards. His average yards per play was 6.9. He had 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and his longest play was 64 yards. That's pretty average. It's probably a little bit below average or a little average, but for the amount of games that he played, in my opinion, I think it's pretty good. So that's how I feel about Justin Fields. Let's just talk about everything else because, let's be honest, the offseason so far for me has been great. I mean, so as a person, I liked Matt Nagy. As a coach, did not. As a person, didn't really, I don't know if I really got a personality from Ryan Pace. Did you guys sense any type of personality from him? I didn't. I hope that doesn't sound mean, but I just really didn't sense a personality from him, so I can't really say like, oh, I really like, I didn't really sense a personality. And on top of not really sensing a personality, I really hated all the moves that he made. I really can't look at one thing that he did that made me feel like, oh man, this man is really, really trying to get us to win. Or football IQ. He had it. I mean, I feel like I can't say too much because I'm a fan. I'm a fan who watches, who studies, who loves the game. So every day I'm learning, and it's kind of harsh to say he didn't have a football IQ. It was just some moves, like the biggest one that hurt his Chicago Bears career was definitely the drafting of Mitchell Trubisky and not taking Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. Not saying that they would have had success in Chicago. I feel like I just need to say that. I need to say, like, there is no guarantee that Patrick Mahomes would have been successful in Chicago, even if they drafted him. There is no guarantee that Deshaun Watson would have had success in Chicago. They're talented. They're quarterbacks that you're like, man, you know, you look at them and you're like, I wish I had that on my team. But they also have had pieces around them to help them be successful. Do I feel that Mitchell Trubisky had pieces around him? Yes, I do. Like, he had Allen Robinson when Allen Robinson wanted to play. You know, he had a couple tight ends here. He didn't. Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard. You know, he had a decent running game. 2018 actually was probably the best year for Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy as far as just GM coaching. Everything just seemed like it was just in place. Like, defense was pretty good. Offense actually had a decent running game. Passing wasn't probably elite, but the running game was pretty darn whatever. It was pretty good. So out of the 7 years he was in Chicago, he had one great year that I can look back and be like, oh, that was a good year. So obviously it was time to go. It was time for both of them to go. It was unfortunate, like the bullying that was happening to obviously the children. I don't condone bullying. I just think it's terrible. So I just need for Bears fans to ease up on that. I mean, I'm just as passionate and I love the Bears. However, it just comes to a point of, when do we as fans, like, when do we decide to cross the line when it comes to people's families? It's never okay. And I will never, ever be okay with that. So please don't ever bully anybody's children, and please teach your children to leave other children alone. You know, one of the biggest things that if I do have kids is I'm gonna tell my kids, if you ever see a kid making fun of another kid, you need to stick up for that child. You know, bullying is not okay. A lot of times it leads to a lot of self-esteem issues for a lot of kids, and sometimes that leads into suicide, and it leads to things that is never good. So please raise your kids to be decent human beings, and this starts with you not bullying other people's kids just because your favorite team, you know, is not doing that great and the coach is probably not that great. It's never an excuse. So just had to put that in there because it was so disgusting to me. But as far as that, I was okay. During the season, like I touched on it before, big ups, big downs. The Bengals game was probably the best game that I've seen overall that they played, and even then the Bengals were almost about to come back and win. So I will say, at least we didn't get beat by the Lions last year. Oh, it's not funny, but it is. I'm sorry. At least the Bears have some type of pride where they were like, we are not getting defeated. We are not losing to a team that has not won not one game. And I am all for it. You know, like I'd rather win a Super Bowl or an NFC championship, not even and also to beat the Packers twice. I would have preferred that, but it was the little things last year, and that's how I felt for the Bears. It's the little things that you have to the little things, like freaking Monty. And if you guys don't know who that is. That's David Montgomery. I adore this man. The last running back that I loved, obviously, was Matt Forte. And the way that I loved Matt Forte is the way that I love freaking David Montgomery. This man is not super flashy. He's not super like juke, 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 juke. You know, he's not like a video game. You know, I love Tariq Cohen, but he's just hard working. I'm putting my head down. I'm getting skinny, and you know, between offensive linemen, I'm getting into that hole. And guess what? I'm gonna bully you to this first down. There were a couple of runs that, you know, obviously they weren't angry runs. If you guys watch Good Morning Football, you know, I think he only made like one angry run. He made it on one of them, but that man ran like it was like King Leonidas, putting everybody on his back and not going down, and I loved every single minute of it. I feel like that is what represents Chicago football. Just toughness, really, really, really just putting your head down, getting to where you need to go. I love it. I loved everything, and he's a bright side for the team. For me, David Montgomery is definitely a bright side for the team. So, like I said, during the season, there were definitely bad losses, but there were a decent amount of bright spots as far as defensively. Gibson played really, really well. Robert Quinn played really, really well. Our back end, oh Jesus. Sometimes they played really well. Sometimes, most of the times they didn't. Justin Fields was a big bright spot for me. Darnell Mooney, loved him all last season. Loved him. And yeah, that was it. Obviously, that was the bright spot. So that's where we are. But really quickly, not really quickly, but don't want to keep you guys. But before I talk about the new staff and the head coach, I wanted to bring awareness to my Chicago Bears fans. Not even just awareness, but just more or less like why the Khalil Mack trade doesn't make me feel bad. If that's what, how do I word that? Yeah, I think I worded it pretty great. The reason why I'm not super emotional about Khalil Mack, let me just say something. I am a defensive woman, girl, whatever. I love defense. I think defense, I still believe in the whole philosophy of defense wins championships. We just saw it with the Rams and the 49ers. That's forever gonna be a thing. No matter, I don't care how much the league is scoring, 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't know. They can score as much as they want to, but defense will still win championships. Defense is still literally so important to the game of football. And I absolutely freaked when we got Khalil Mack. I literally was on the Khalil Mack train. I absolutely was in heaven watching him terrorize Aaron Rodgers in 2018 was probably the happiest I had ever been in my life. I was, actually it was. 2018 was a good year for me too. Like I was like slim thick and you know, I was going to BTS concerts. I'm a huge BTS fan. Just putting that out there. I love BTS. Yes. Bangtan Sonyeondan. That's who I love. That's the Korean name for them if you didn't know. Going to, you know, K-pop concerts. It's just living my best life. 2018 was a good year in general, and it just put the cherry on top that the Bears were playing so well. So the move that Ryan Poles did to trade Khalil Mack for a couple of picks, I believe it was a second round for this upcoming draft, and then a 6th rounder for 2020. 23. I almost had to sneeze again. Either way, I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying it wasn't enough, and oh my God, like, you know, what we did to get him, and you know what we're doing now to trade him, it's not enough capital, we're not getting nothing back, oh my God, this is terrible. This man had like over 31 million left on his contract, and the Chargers are picking up that contract, and that is allowing us to have some type of salary cap space for the future and for now. We're in rebuild mode. I hope Bears fans know this. We are in rebuild mode. Not mold. But mode. We're in rebuild mode. So, and I'm okay with that. I feel like as a Bears fan, I have to admit this myself. Very impatient. I am very, very impatient. I want to win now. I was not born when the Bears won the Super Bowl in 1985. I was born in 1992. So I wasn't born. I wasn't alive. I wasn't around the time that the city was abuzz with the 85 Bears, and, you know, they were doing a Super Bowl shuffle, and, you know, everybody thought they were going to have the perfect season. You know, obviously it was ruined by the Miami Dolphins, because Miami Dolphins was like, what? 72, y'all ain't never catching us. But, you know, I wasn't alive. I didn't get to experience all of that. I didn't get to experience what it's like to live in the city of Chicago, and the Chicago Bears are Super Bowl champs, or they're, you know, anything. Even when they did go to the Super Bowl, I actually lived in Atlanta in 2006-07, when, you know, they the famous, the Bears when they thought they were, and we let them off the hook. I love that. Every time I'm in a, I don't want to say bad mood, but when I need to pick me up, I go to that video. That video gives me so much joy. It does. But I lived in Atlanta when they went to the Super Bowl, I believe. Ooh, I'm so wrong. Ooh, Nikia, I am so wrong. I did not live in Atlanta when I went to the Super Bowl. I was actually in Chicago. Was I? I have to think about that. I remember. I believe I was living in Atlanta. I didn't live in Chicago my whole life. It just feels like I have. I believe I was in Atlanta when I went to the Super Bowl. I could be wrong. So that's why we have cell phones, and we have things that can help us. And when we don't know everything, and when we, you know, need to look something up, we can look it up. Oh, well, it's the 85 Bears, but when you look it up, it's 1986. Which, yeah, that's true. That is true, because it's New Year and stuff like that. Let me see. So 2006. I was 2006. Actually, yeah, so I'm not wrong. I believe I was on my way to Chicago, just coming back to Chicago when they got to the Super Bowl. So I was in Atlanta, but I was on my way to Chicago. Okay, I'm right. I was right. Yep. Because I went to high school here, and yeah, I was like, yeah, I was Chicago, Atlanta around that time. So and even to this day, it's still, you know, I just haven't experienced that, and I think a lot of Bears fans want to experience the Bears going to the Super Bowl before Jesus comes back, or winning the Super Bowl appearance, or doing something. I know I want to, you know, I want to, you know, if I do have children, I want to be able to be like, man, you know, when I was, hopefully before 40. I was like 32 when the Bears won the Super Bowl. Hopefully, I don't know, but because I'm 29 now, so I'm just like, man, I need them to win the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I'm not too upset about Khalil Mack, and this is why. So I'm gonna give you guys our records from 2003 up until now, and I want you guys to realize something and to really realize it and come to the realization that I did when I was doing all this research. I know you guys hear this paper in the background, but from 2003 to now, we've had 21 quarterbacks, guys, and multiple years. I'm letting you guys know this now. I'm looking at this. I don't know if you guys want to hear, if I don't want to bore you guys with too much information, but 2003, we were 7-9. Just to give you some context, we were 7-9 in 2003. Yes, I went back to all the way to 2003. And we had Cordell Stewart, Chandler, and Grossman. And they all started at one point in that year. And then 2004, we had Grossman, Quinn, Krenzel and Hutchinson. And then 2005, Grossman, Orton. We were 11-5 with just those two. 2004, we were 5-11. 2006, we were 13-3. So 2005, we actually made the playoffs. 2006, we made the playoffs. Obviously, we went to the Super Bowl. We were 13-3. We had Grossman and Grease. 2007, 7-9. Grossman, Grease, Orton. 2008, 9-7. Orton, Grossman. 2009, 7-9. Cutler. 2010, 11-5. Cutler, Haney, Collins. We actually went to the NFC Championship. I remember that year. Oh, I cried like a baby because I hate the Packers. Period, point blank. So, and it just hurt that much that we lost them. They went on to win the Super Bowl that year. The only Super Bowl win for Aaron Rodgers, I may add. Just saying, because I did see something on Twitter where a Packers fan was like, "You guys wasted the prime years for Khalil Mack," and I'm like, it's a pot calling the kettle black, when the only year that they won the Super Bowl was 2010. 2011, we were 8-8. Cutler, Haney, McCall. 2012, 10-6. Cutler, Campbell. 2013, 8-8. Cutler, McCall. 2014, Cutler, Clausen. 5-11. 2015, 6-10. Cutler, Clausen. 2016, 3-13. Cutler, Hoyer, Barkley. 2017, 5-11. Glennon, Trubisky. 2018, it was Trubisky. We were 12-4. We made it to the playoffs after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pretty much 8 years. We lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, it was heart-wrenching, very heart-wrenching. The next year, 2019, it was Cutler, Daniel. 2020, Trubisky, Foles. 2021, Dalton, Fields, and Foles. I may not have enough time today to talk about Ryan Poles and Coach Eberflus. Matt. I'm just gonna say Matt. I hate butchering last names. I really do. I just may say Matt. I may not have enough time to talk about it the way that I want to, because it'll be an hour-long podcast. Who wants to listen to an hour-long podcast? I know I don't. I like to just get in, get out. But for me, most definitely, what this showed to me was the inconsistency of not only one of the most important positions, which is the quarterback, but also just the organization in general. Between 2003 to 2021, we only made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playoff appearances. I just needed everybody to marinate on that. That's why I didn't say anything, because I was like, let me let them marinate on the fact that I just said between 2003 and 2021 we only made 5 playoff appearances. And the last playoff win was in 2010, by the way. We're in 2022, so that's 12 years ago. Was the last time we actually decided to win in the playoffs. So when I tell you this Khalil Mack trade, for me, I finally took the emotion out of what I feel for the players and how I feel about them and whether I just like them as people and I know they're hardworking. You take that out and you realize that it's time to buckle down and it's time to win. It's time to be consistent. It's time to have just a foundation of something. 21 quarterbacks in the last, like, that's like literally almost a quarterback a year. And if you guys read the names of how many people started in the 1 year, do you not know from the time Aaron Rodgers has started till now, he has been consistently one of the only starting quarterbacks unless he's injured, and that's like really rare that he's been injured. And I'm going to talk about that next Friday for Bears Friday, because I want Bears fans to realize this. We need consistency. We should not have 3-4 quarterbacks to start in 1 year. And that's why I read everything off, because I'm like, maybe Bears fans can realize what I'm trying to say if I just read it and the proof is in the pudding. And then if you look at the records, when we've had winning records, there hasn't been 50,000 starting quarterbacks. I mean, obviously injuries, but when there's been consistency, we've won. So Khalil Mack, thank you so much for what you did for the Bears, what you did for me as far as like a defensive minded person who loves the defense. It made me feel like, man, we can get back to being just scary, man. Like, he gave me so much hope. I loved everything about him, his demeanor, everything that he brought to Chicago. You know, I'm glad that this man got paid what he felt like he was worth getting paid, you know. However, thank you. And now it's time to move on. You know, it's just time to move on. Bears fans, move on. What we need to start doing is when we see a player not doing what we need them to do and we're moving in a different direction, we need to move too as well. Just like how the Bears are moving their defense, you know, back to that, you know, 4-3. You know? So I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, I'm going to talk about more. I'm really going to talk about that more next week. I didn't get to everything I wanted to because I'm trying not to keep my podcast for too long. I like to ramble, and the people who listen to me, y'all know, I like to ramble. But I'm definitely going to talk more about like Ryan Poles. I'm going to talk about our new head coach. I'm going to talk about what he brings to the table, his pedigree of football. And then also, if you guys didn't know who is going to be on the coaching staff, I got you, because if you didn't want to go on the Chicago Bears website, which you can, and just read all that information and see it, don't worry, I did it for you. So I'm just excited. I'm excited about the Bears' future. I'm excited about Justin Fields. Again, I just feel like he's exactly what we've needed. That toughness, you know, and finally we get some color as far as quarterback. I mean, I don't believe the Bears ever drafted a black quarterback. So, I mean, thank God. Something. I don't know. I'm not saying because he's black, he's the answer. I'm saying, like, we're such an old franchise. And I'm just going to say this, and people can get mad or people can feel what they want to feel. I don't care. But the Bears is such a old franchise. And there was just certain positions or a certain position that I felt personally I would never see them draft a person of color for. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the Bears organization is racist. I'm just saying when there's so much tradition, just like the whole cheerleader thing, they never want to sway from it. And I hate to say this, but I also feel like maybe that's a part of the reason why they didn't draft the two names that I said earlier in my podcast, because there's so much of tradition, the traditional, what it looks like, what it should look like. And I feel like that year Mitch was so traditional. Like he was so, he was the traditional quarterback. Like it was, he was tradition with a little tweak. He could run a little bit. He was a little athletic, but I feel like they wanted to keep that. And for me, I'm just really happy that we have like a Ryan Poles as a GM, because he's younger, he's played the game before, and he's a person of color. Like he's someone who can look at football and decisions and things differently from a different mindset of what's been in the head office or the front office for a long time for the Bears. And I think that's what's needed. I feel like the Bears need the Bears organization as a general. Like I love what they're doing with diversity. But it's not because we just need to be diverse. It's not because, we just want to put color in there. No, it's needed. It's needed. Like these people are coming with ideas. These people have ideas. These people are really great at what they do. And besides just trying to always keep tradition, or what we've always done or what's always worked for us in the past, I'm just happy that it's just like, whatever works is what works. And I'm excited for it, So I'm excited for what's going to happen with the Bears in the future. Again, my dream job is to eventually work for them somehow, some way. So next week, next Friday, Bears Friday, we're going to talk about the head coach. We're going to talk about the GM more in depth. I just needed to, get this little thing out the way. So as always, please follow me on social media. Follow me on all the social media platforms that I mentioned earlier. If you didn't hear me, then I'm going to say it again. You can always find my page on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, as well as Fanbase, in case you missed it, with Nakia Skinner. Please interact with me if you feel like there are some things that you're like, what, I agree with her, but I don't. So, and as always, in case you missed it,